This comprehensive guide offers invaluable tools to cultivate critical thinking skills, essential for success in decision-making and problem-solving. These skills are vital in navigating both personal and professional challenges, allowing individuals to thrive in today's complex world. You'll learn how to identify biases, question assumptions, engage with multiple perspectives, and strengthen your mental resilience. Whether you are a student, a professional, or someone seeking personal growth, this book empowers you to sharpen your thinking, achieve your goals, and succeed in all areas of life. Chapter 1. The Power of Critical Thinking. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to effortlessly handle life's most complex situations, while others find even the simplest decisions overwhelming? The difference often lies in their ability to think critically. Critical thinking is not only about intellectual prowess, it is a practical skill that can be developed and refined with time and effort. But what exactly is critical thinking, and why is it so important in today's information-rich, fast-paced world? Critical thinking is often misunderstood. It's not about being confrontational or dismissing others' ideas without consideration. Instead, it's about taking a methodical approach to processing information. By evaluating facts, questioning assumptions, and analyzing multiple perspectives, critical thinkers arrive at sound, reasoned conclusions. It allows us to take a step back, view situations from different angles, and make choices based on a careful assessment of outcomes. A common misconception is that critical thinking is a talent some people are born with. This couldn't be further from the truth. Much like a muscle that strengthens through consistent exercise, critical thinking is a skill that improves the more we practice it. As you start honing this skill, you'll find yourself better equipped to tackle difficult problems, make informed decisions, and adapt to the unexpected with greater confidence. The benefits of becoming a critical thinker extend far beyond academic or professional life. In personal relationships, critical thinking can improve your ability to communicate effectively, build empathy, and resolve conflicts. It fosters a deeper understanding of others' viewpoints, enabling you to make decisions that are aligned with your values and goals. Professionally, employers across all sectors increasingly seek individuals who can think critically. Leaders and innovators, those who rise above the rest, often excel because they think critically and creatively, while others follow the status quo. As you start this journey, you'll soon realize that learning to think critically is not merely about changing how you think. It's about transforming your entire approach to life. This book will provide you with practical tools, insights, and exercises that will help you develop the critical thinking mindset. We'll dive into the essential building blocks of critical thinking, uncover hidden biases, and explore logical reasoning. But before we can venture into those areas, the most important step is to turn your focus inward. To master critical thinking, you must first understand the intricacies of your own mind. Before we conclude this introduction, ask yourself, are you ready to challenge your assumptions, broaden your perspectives, and tap into your full potential? The journey ahead won't always be easy, but the rewards will far outweigh the effort. In the next chapter, we'll explore the workings of your thought patterns, the first step in reshaping your mindset for lasting personal and intellectual growth. Chapter 2. Understanding your thought patterns. Imagine your mind as an expansive and unexplored territory. It contains untapped reserves of insight and creativity, but also pitfalls of bias and misconception. To navigate this mental landscape effectively, self-awareness is crucial. This chapter introduces you to the first critical step in enhancing your thinking: understanding your thought patterns. Self-awareness is the cornerstone of critical thinking. It allows you to observe your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors from a distance, as if you were an impartial outsider. This practice enables you to recognize habitual patterns in your thinking, both the constructive and the counterproductive ones, and understand how your experiences and beliefs shape your perceptions. One of the most effective techniques for building self-awareness is mindfulness. By practicing mindfulness, you become more attuned to your thoughts and feelings in the present moment, without judgment. This doesn't require hours of meditation. It can be as simple as taking 5 minutes a day to sit quietly and notice your mental processes. Over time, this practice helps you spot recurring themes, emotional triggers, and cognitive habits you might not have recognized before. Another useful tool for examining your thought patterns is reflective journaling. By writing down your thoughts, emotions, and reactions to daily events, you create a record of your inner world. Over time, this reflective practice can reveal important insights into how you make decisions, react emotionally, and interpret situations. For instance, you might discover that you frequently jump to conclusions in certain circumstances or have a tendency to magnify problems. As you become more familiar with your mental habits, you may notice cognitive biases, mental shortcuts that lead to irrational judgments and decisions. These biases often operate below the level of conscious awareness and can distort your thinking. Confirmation bias, for example, leads you to seek out information that confirms your existing beliefs while ignoring evidence that contradicts them. Another common bias is the availability heuristic, which causes you to overestimate the importance of recent or easily remembered events. Acknowledging and understanding these biases is the first step toward overcoming them. By recognizing how they influence your decisions, you'll be better equipped to think more objectively and critically. A great way to counteract hidden biases is to seek feedback from others. Whether from trusted friends, mentors, or colleagues, external perspectives can help you identify blind spots in your thinking that self-reflection alone might miss. As you begin to explore the landscape of your mind, you'll undoubtedly encounter resistance, whether from your own ego, cognitive habits, or external influences. Confronting deeply held beliefs can be uncomfortable, even unsettling. But remember, this discomfort is part of the growth process. Mental flexibility, the ability to adapt your thinking, is a key component of critical thinking. By the end of this chapter, you'll have a deeper understanding of your thought patterns. But this is just the beginning. In the next chapter, we'll dive into the core principles of logical reasoning and begin building a toolkit for approaching complex problems with clarity. Chapter 3. The Fundamentals of Critical Thinking. Imagine you are standing at the edge of an uncharted wilderness, holding a map that represents critical thinking. To navigate the terrain of your mind, you need more than just this map. You also need the right tools and strategies. This chapter will equip you with the fundamental skills of logical reasoning and evidence-based thinking. Logical reasoning forms the backbone of critical thinking. It involves drawing conclusions based on reliable evidence and sound arguments. Logical reasoning begins with identifying premises, the information or assumptions you start with, and follows through to logical conclusions. A simple example is the classic syllogism: all birds have feathers. A robin is a bird. Therefore, a robin has feathers. This is deductive reasoning, where if the premises are true, the conclusion must also be true. Logical reasoning becomes especially powerful when applied to complex problems. However, many people fall into the trap of logical fallacies, errors in reasoning that can lead to faulty conclusions. Common fallacies include the ad hominem attack, dismissing an argument by attacking the person making it; false dichotomies, presenting only two choices when more exist; and the slippery slope fallacy, assuming that one event will inevitably lead to another without supporting evidence. As we explore these reasoning strategies, you'll learn to recognize fallacies, strengthen your own arguments, and become more discerning when evaluating the reasoning of others. But logic alone isn't enough. True critical thinking also requires a commitment to basing conclusions on reliable evidence. Evidence-based thinking involves gathering data from trustworthy sources, questioning the credibility of information, and remaining open to changing your conclusions when new evidence arises. Cultivating an evidence-based mindset requires curiosity, open-mindedness, and intellectual humility. It's about constantly asking questions, seeking alternative viewpoints, and acknowledging that our knowledge is never complete. By developing this mindset, you'll build the foundation of a critical thinker's approach to life, one that embraces ongoing learning and growth. Chapter 4. Overcoming Cognitive Biases. Imagine you're playing a strategic game where, unbeknownst to you, some of the pieces are hidden. You've been making moves based on incomplete information, unaware that certain forces are working against you. This is what happens when cognitive biases interfere with our thinking. They influence our decisions and judgments without our full awareness. Cognitive biases are natural shortcuts our brains take to simplify decision-making, but they can often lead us astray. They're not a sign of low intelligence or poor reasoning. In fact, they are survival mechanisms that evolved to help us make quick decisions in the face of uncertainty. However, in today's complex world, these biases can cause us to make faulty judgments, especially when situations require deeper, more nuanced analysis. One of the most pervasive biases is confirmation bias, which causes us to seek out or interpret information that supports our pre-existing beliefs, while ignoring evidence that contradicts them. This bias can manifest in everyday scenarios, like when you're researching a new diet and only pay attention to the articles that support the diet you already believe in, while dismissing studies that show it might not be effective. Another common bias is the anchoring effect, where we rely too heavily on the first piece of information we receive, using it as a reference point for all subsequent decisions. For example, when negotiating a price, the initial offer, whether high or low, can strongly influence the outcome, even if it is arbitrary or not reflective of actual value. Availability bias is another mental shortcut that causes us to overestimate the likelihood of events that are easily recalled. This is why people often fear rare but dramatic events, like plane crashes, more than statistically more probable dangers, like car accidents. Our minds give more weight to events that are vivid or easily remembered, even if they are less likely to happen. Recognizing these cognitive biases is the first step toward overcoming them, but awareness alone is not enough. We need to adopt strategies to counteract their influence on our decision-making process. One effective approach is to actively seek out perspectives and information that challenge your existing beliefs. This doesn't mean you need to change your mind every time, but it does mean giving opposing viewpoints fair consideration. Another strategy is to practice mental flexibility by regularly asking yourself, what other explanations might there be? Or, what am I missing? When you notice yourself leaning too heavily on your initial impressions or assumptions, pause and consider alternative possibilities. Doing so can open up new avenues of thinking and help you avoid jumping to conclusions. Seeking feedback from others is also a powerful tool in overcoming biases. Engage with people who think differently. Ask for their input on your decisions, and be open to constructive criticism. These interactions can reveal blind spots in your reasoning and broaden your understanding of complex issues. As we navigate the hidden influences of cognitive biases, it's important to remember that discomfort is often a sign of growth. Challenging deeply held beliefs or habitual ways of thinking can feel uncomfortable, but this discomfort is part of the process of becoming a more flexible and adaptive thinker. By the end of this chapter, you'll have a clearer understanding of how cognitive biases operate, as well as practical strategies to overcome them, empowering you to make more objective and well-reasoned decisions. Chapter 5. Effective Problem-Solving Techniques. Imagine standing before a giant knot of tangled ropes, seemingly impossible to untangle. The complexity of the knot can feel overwhelming, just like the problems we face in life. However, with the right techniques, even the most complicated issues can be unraveled. Problem solving is a skill, and in this chapter, we'll explore the methods that will help you approach any challenge systematically and creatively. The first step in effective problem solving is to clearly define the problem. Often, what we perceive as a single issue is actually a cluster of interconnected challenges. By breaking down the larger issue into smaller, more manageable components, you can begin to see the individual threads that make up the knot. This process is known as problem decomposition, and it's crucial for gaining clarity on what needs to be solved. Once the problem is clearly defined, it's time to gather information. This step is often overlooked as people rush to find solutions before fully understanding the problem. Take the time to explore different perspectives, consult experts if necessary, and look for patterns that might reveal the root cause of the issue. The more comprehensive your understanding, the better equipped you'll be to solve the problem effectively. With a solid grasp of the problem, the next step is to generate potential solutions. This is where creativity comes into play. Brainstorming can be a powerful tool for this stage, but the key is to suspend judgment during the initial idea-generating phase. Allow yourself to consider even the most outlandish ideas, as some of the most innovative solutions stem from seemingly far-fetched concepts. Once you have a list of possible solutions, the next step is to evaluate them. This is where your critical thinking skills really come into play. Assess each option by weighing the pros and cons, considering feasibility, and evaluating potential outcomes. Be objective and consider the risks and benefits of each approach, remembering that the best solution isn't always the easiest or most obvious one. After selecting the most promising solution, it's time to implement it. Break down the solution into actionable steps, assign tasks if working in a team, and set clear timelines. But don't assume that the problem-solving process is finished once the solution is in motion. It's crucial to monitor the results and be prepared to make adjustments as necessary. One particularly powerful problem-solving technique is reframing the problem. Sometimes the way we initially define a problem limits our ability to solve it. By shifting your perspective and looking at the issue from a different angle, you may uncover solutions that weren't visible before. Reframing can be as simple as asking yourself, is there another way to look at this problem? Or, what if I approach this from a completely different perspective? As you develop your problem-solving skills, you'll likely encounter obstacles. Feeling stuck, frustrated, or overwhelmed is a normal part of the process. When this happens, step back and give yourself space to think. Sometimes the solution becomes clearer when we stop actively trying to force it. By the end of this chapter, you'll have a set of tools and strategies for tackling complex problems. Whether it's breaking down large issues into smaller parts, generating creative solutions, or reframing challenges from new perspectives, you'll be better equipped to approach problems with confidence and clarity. Chapter 6. Analyzing Information and Arguments. Picture yourself as a detective, carefully examining the evidence at a crime scene. Your task is to unravel the clues, piece together the facts, and expose any faulty reasoning. In the realm of critical thinking, this is akin to analyzing information and arguments, breaking them down into their core components and determining whether they hold up under scrutiny. At the heart of every argument are three basic elements: claims, premises, and conclusions. A claim is an assertion about what is true or what should be done. Premises are the reasons or evidence given to support that claim. The conclusion is what the argument is trying to persuade you to believe or accept. For example, in the argument, all dogs are mammals, Fido is a dog, therefore Fido is a mammal. The premises are all dogs are mammals and Fido is a dog, while the conclusion is Fido is a mammal. By breaking down arguments in this way, you can more easily evaluate their strength and identify any potential weaknesses. A key part of this evaluation process involves asking critical questions about the evidence. Is the evidence relevant? Is it reliable? Is it sufficient to support the conclusion? Be cautious of anecdotal evidence, cherry-picked data, or vague statements that don't provide concrete support for the claims being made. As you become more adept at analyzing arguments, you'll begin to notice patterns of reasoning. Some patterns are valid and help strengthen an argument, while others are logical fallacies, errors in reasoning that can undermine an argument, even if the premises seem sound. For example, the slippery slope fallacy assumes that one event will inevitably lead to a chain of related events without sufficient evidence. Similarly, the false dilemma fallacy presents only two options when other alternatives may exist. Another common flaw in reasoning is correlation versus causation. Just because two things happen together doesn't mean one caused the other. For instance, there might be a correlation between ice cream sales and drowning incidents, But that doesn't mean ice cream causes drowning. Both are simply more likely to occur during the summer months. As you hone your skills in analyzing arguments, it's important to be alert to hidden assumptions and unstated premises. Often, what isn't said can be just as telling as what is. For example, someone might argue, we should cut taxes to stimulate economic growth. This argument assumes that lower taxes always lead to growth, an assumption that should be examined critically. By the end of this chapter, you will have developed the ability to dissect and evaluate arguments with precision. This skill will not only help you navigate the overwhelming sea of information in today's world, but also empower you to make more informed, rational decisions in your own life. Chapter 7. Engaging with diverse perspectives. Imagine entering a room where every wall is painted a different color, each representing a unique way of looking at the world. As you move through the room, your perspective shifts, revealing new combinations of colors and shades you hadn't seen before. This is what happens when we engage with diverse perspectives. Each viewpoint adds a new dimension to our understanding, enriching our ability to think critically. The value of engaging with diverse perspectives cannot be overstated. In our interconnected world, where ideas and cultures constantly intersect, the ability to consider multiple viewpoints is essential for navigating complex issues. When we expose ourselves to perspectives that differ from our own, we challenge our assumptions, broaden our understanding, and often arrive at more nuanced and robust solutions to problems. In a sense, diverse perspectives add new colors to our mental palette, allowing us to paint a richer, more accurate picture of reality. However, engaging with perspectives that challenge our deeply held beliefs can be uncomfortable. It often requires us to step outside our comfort zones, listen to ideas that may unsettle us, and confront the possibility that we might be wrong. But this discomfort is where growth happens. In fact, it's often the perspectives we find most difficult to engage with that offer the greatest opportunities for learning. One strategy for deliberately seeking out diverse perspectives is to expose yourself to information sources that challenge your existing views. For example, if you tend to read publications that align with your political beliefs, try reading articles from sources that hold opposing viewpoints. If you're a scientist, engage with literature from the humanities or social sciences. The goal isn't necessarily to change your mind, but to understand why others think the way they do, and to consider how their viewpoints might enrich or challenge your own. As you engage with diverse perspectives, practicing active listening is crucial. Too often we listen only to respond, not to truly understand. Active listening involves paying full attention to what the other person is saying without mentally preparing your rebuttal. It also means trying to understand not just the surface of their argument, but the values, assumptions, and experiences that underlie it. When we listen in this way, we gain a deeper appreciation for why people think the way they do, even if we don't agree with their conclusions. Building empathy is another key aspect of engaging with diverse perspectives. Empathy allows us to see the world through someone else's eyes, which in turn helps us to understand their motivations and reasoning. When we approach others with empathy, we recognize that most people are trying to do what they believe is right, based on their understanding of the world. This realization can help us move beyond judgment and toward a more nuanced view of the issue at hand. One technique for deepening your engagement with diverse viewpoints is called steel manning. This is the opposite of straw manning, where you attack a weaker or exaggerated version of someone's argument. Instead, steel manning involves articulating the strongest possible version of the other person's argument before responding to it. This not only demonstrates that you truly understand their position, but also forces you to engage with the most compelling aspects of their reasoning, which in turn strengthens your own critical thinking. As you become more adept at considering multiple perspectives, you'll find that decision-making becomes more complex, but also more rewarding. Engaging with diverse viewpoints helps you to see options and solutions that might have otherwise remained hidden. One effective way to integrate multiple perspectives into your decision-making process is to play devil's advocate with yourself or your team. Deliberately argue against your preferred option, or assign team members to take on different perspectives. This can help expose potential weaknesses in your thinking and lead to better, more informed decisions. It's important to note that engaging with diverse perspectives doesn't mean abandoning your own values or beliefs. The goal isn't to achieve a bland consensus where all views are seen as equally valid. Instead, it's about enriching your understanding, challenging your assumptions, and arriving at more thoughtful, well-reasoned positions. By the end of this chapter, you should have a deeper appreciation for the value of engaging with diverse perspectives. You'll have practical strategies for seeking out alternative viewpoints, practicing empathy, and integrating different perspectives into your thinking. But engaging with multiple perspectives is just one aspect of critical thinking. To truly master this skill, we need to learn how to make sound decisions in the face of uncertainty. In the next chapter, we'll explore powerful decision-making strategies that will equip you to navigate complex choices with clarity and confidence. Chapter 8. Decision-making strategies for success. Imagine standing at a crossroads with countless paths stretching out before you. Each path represents a decision you could make, and the landscape ahead is cloaked in uncertainty. Decision-making is often like this, choosing a path forward despite incomplete information and unpredictable outcomes. In this chapter, we'll explore strategies that will help you make more confident, well-reasoned decisions in any situation. Effective decision-making is not a single moment of choice. It's a process. It begins with clearly defining the decision that needs to be made and gathering the relevant information. While this may seem obvious, many poor decisions stem from a failure to properly frame the problem or collect sufficient data. Take the time to thoroughly understand the scope of the decision and ensure you have as much relevant information as possible before proceeding. Once you have a clear understanding of the decision at hand, the next step is to identify your options and evaluate them. This is where your critical thinking skills come into play. Start by considering all possible options, even those that may seem less obvious or unconventional. It's important to avoid tunnel vision, where you focus only on the most apparent solutions while ignoring creative alternatives. One powerful tool for evaluating options is the decision matrix. This involves listing your options along with the criteria that are important for the decision, such as cost, feasibility, and long-term impact. Then, assign a score to each option based on how well it meets each criterion. The decision matrix allows you to objectively compare complex choices and identify the option that best aligns with your needs and goals. As you evaluate your options, it's important to strike a balance between logic and intuition. While data and analysis are critical, don't discount your gut feelings. Intuition is often the result of subconscious pattern recognition based on past experiences. The key is to use both logic and intuition in harmony, allowing each to inform and balance the other. For example, you might use logic to narrow down your choices, and then rely on intuition to make the final call. In many decision-making scenarios, uncertainty is an unavoidable factor. Sometimes, no matter how much information you gather, you won't be able to predict every outcome. This is where scenario planning can be a useful strategy. Scenario planning involves imagining different possible futures and considering how each option might play out in those scenarios. By thinking through multiple potential outcomes, you can better anticipate risks and make more informed choices. Another important aspect of decision-making is being aware of common pitfalls. One of the most common traps is analysis paralysis, getting so caught up in gathering information and weighing options that you never actually make a decision. In many cases, making a timely decision is more important than making a perfect one. Set a deadline for your decision-making process, and when the time comes, commit to a choice and move forward. Groupthink is another pitfall to watch out for. In group decision-making situations, the desire for harmony or consensus can sometimes lead to irrational or dysfunctional choices. To avoid groupthink, encourage dissenting opinions and consider appointing a devil's advocate to challenge the group's assumptions. This ensures that multiple perspectives are considered before a final decision is made. As you refine your decision-making skills, you'll likely encounter situations where you feel overwhelmed or stuck. When this happens, try using techniques like the 5 whys, where you repeatedly ask why to get to the root cause of a problem, or the Eisenhower matrix, which helps you prioritize decisions based on their urgency and importance. Sometimes, simply reframing the problem or asking different questions can lead to breakthrough insights. The goal of these decision-making strategies isn't to eliminate all risk or uncertainty, but to help you make more informed, well-reasoned choices that align with your goals and values. Even with the best process in place, there will always be some level of unpredictability. The key is to become comfortable with uncertainty and be ready to adapt as new information becomes available. By the end of this chapter, you'll be equipped with a range of strategies to enhance your decision-making process. You'll understand how to frame problems clearly, gather information effectively, evaluate options objectively, and manage uncertainty with confidence. But making good decisions is only part of the equation. To truly thrive in life, we need to develop the mental resilience to face challenges and setbacks head-on. In the next chapter, we'll explore powerful strategies for building mental resilience, equipping you with the tools to thrive even in the face of adversity. Chapter 9. Building Mental Resilience. Imagine yourself as a strong tree, standing firm in the midst of a storm. The winds howl and the rain beats down, but your roots run deep, anchoring you securely in the ground. This image embodies the essence of mental resilience, the ability to withstand life's inevitable challenges and emerge stronger on the other side. In this chapter, we'll explore how to cultivate this vital trait and harness its power to enhance your thinking and overall well-being. Mental resilience is more than just toughing it out or pushing through challenges. It's a dynamic process that involves adapting to adversity, learning from setbacks, and growing in the face of difficulty. Resilience allows us not only to bounce back from setbacks but to thrive under pressure. It's the quality that enables some people to remain calm and focused in the face of stress while others feel overwhelmed. The foundation of mental resilience lies in our ability to understand and manage our emotions. Developing emotional intelligence, the ability to recognize, understand, and manage our emotions, can help us respond to challenges with clarity and purpose, rather than reacting impulsively or out of fear. Emotional intelligence also allows us to navigate difficult conversations and maintain strong relationships, even in times of stress. One of the most effective ways to build emotional intelligence and resilience is through mindfulness. Mindfulness is the practice of focusing your attention on the present moment, observing your thoughts and feelings without judgment. By cultivating mindfulness, you become more aware of your emotional responses and develop the ability to manage them more effectively. Over time, mindfulness can reduce stress, improve focus, and help you stay calm under pressure. Another critical component of mental resilience is adopting a growth mindset. Popularized by psychologist Carol Dweck, a growth mindset is the belief that our abilities can be developed through effort, learning, and persistence. People with a growth mindset see challenges as opportunities for growth rather than threats to their self-esteem. They view failure as a learning experience rather than a reflection of their worth.